Buenas tardes, son las 12, es el viernes, so it's time for our last community Spanish for this week, broadcasting live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12. We also have our kids classes happening every day, children's French every day at 10:30, and children's Spanish every day at 11. So we've got multiple videos for you every day. But today is the last lesson for community Spanish this week. And then we will be continuing next week. And I am, even though Monday is a holiday, I'm still planning to go live on Monday for our next round of community Spanish. We have so much material to get to, so I'm just eager to keep going and keep sharing more information with you all. So as usual, please feel free to check out our Facebook page for seeing these videos, which obviously you've been able to find because you're watching this video. But also we have on our website, on the Facebook Live page on our website on rolalanguages.com, we have also all the videos posted there, nice and organized so you can find what you're looking for. And we also have some extra worksheets there that we're posting with some exercises to complement what you're learning, so you can practice a little bit more. And so you have something if you want to share with someone else who maybe didn't see the video or just needs to practice with something specific, and you thought, oh, they might like to see this, they might use this. You're welcome to share along the link for the website, and also again share along our Facebook page so other people can join for the live videos, which of course you don't have to just see them live. You can see them if you can't come at the certain time that they're being broadcasted. They'll be posted on our website and then are slowly making their way to our YouTube page where they'll live forever. So you're welcome to check these videos out on both of those, actually now 3 places, if you can find them on the website, on YouTube, or on our Facebook page. So and please like, comment, and share on the videos. Let us know what you're liking, what you'd like to learn. Please interact with us and let us know, again, what's most helpful for you so we can address those needs. And we definitely do videos by request. So please feel free to let us know on Facebook or also on the Rola Languages Facebook Live page on our website. There's also a suggestion box there. So if you have an idea or request, you can feel free to let us know over there. All right, so let's get to it. So we have for today, our lesson is kind of a basic, but something that's useful really for everyone about how to tell time in Spanish. You know, again, it doesn't really matter what level you are in, you're going to need to know your time at some point. You know, when if you're traveling or, you know, really in any situation, we all have to know about what time something is happening. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about how to tell time, and then also, of course, we're going to practice. So that's the most important thing. And then I will post another exercise up on the website so you can get some additional practice too, if you want to do a little bit on your own, or again, to share the resource with someone else who might benefit from it. So, so let's get started on our telling time lesson. So I'm going to share the screen so you can see some of this instruction and kind of walk you through the details about how you tell time in Spanish. So, so first we have our first question, ¿Qué hora es? Is what time is it? Okay, so that's our kind of foundational question. ¿Qué hora es? So now in order to answer the question, to say what time it is, we kind of have, I'm going to give you a little formula that's easy for you to follow. So if we focus our attention, and I'll put an arrow so you can see where I'm talking about. Right here is our kind of go-to formula of how we're going to tell time in Spanish. So we start for most of the times. So basically, I mean, for most of the hours, we're going to start with son las. So the reason why we say that is because when we're telling a time in Spanish, we're counting a certain number of hours. You know, if it's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So the thing is, because almost all of the hours that we're going to be telling are more than 1, like more than 1 o'clock, because we got 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Again, all the rest of the hours are more than 1. That's why we're starting with son las, because son las goes with a plural. So again, if we think about it like this, like in Spanish, we're counting the number of hours. So that's why we need to use the plural when we're describing a time that's more than 1 o'clock. So if it is 1 o'clock, then that's the one time we're going to use the singular and say es la una. If it's for 1 o'clock, es la una. But again, for almost all the other times, which is going to be the majority of the time, you're going to start with son las. Okay, son las. So then once you say son las, that's like the equivalent of saying it's in English. Again, if we're going to say like it's 12 o'clock, son las, then you're going to put the number of the hour. So that's the second part. So again, we have for the first part, we put son las. Then the second part is to put the hour. So it could be dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, all the way up to, you know, however high you need to go. And then once we're going to talk about the number of minutes, maybe, because if it's just in an easy, simple time, like it's 4 o'clock, son las cuatro. Simple, done. Okay, but most of the time we're going to have a time where we need to add some minutes onto it. Okay, so we're going to, and so we're adding on minutes. We're just going to put the word y, which means and, before we put the number of minutes. So for example, we had here, like the first example below, es la 1:20. Es la 1:20. So it's 1:20. So it's the 1:20. Okay, or son las 2:30. Son las 2:30. So it's 2:30. 2:30. Okay. Now, if we're doing the case where when we say this in English as well, if we want to instead say like it's 10:02 or 1:45, as in we're kind of taking the hour that's coming and then going backwards a few minutes. Instead, for that, we're going to use menos. So to give you an example, we have the last one here, son las 4:-10. So it's like saying it's 4 to 10. Sorry, excuse me. It's 10 to 4. 10 to 4. So 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes until 4 o'clock. It's 10 to 4, or otherwise known as 3:50. So we could say son las 3:50 if we want to say it's 3:50. But we can also say like this. It's like it's 4 o'clock minus 10 minutes. Son las 4:-10. So it's 10 to 4. Okay. So depending on what we want to add, if we're adding minutes, we say y. If we're subtracting minutes, we say menos, and then the number. Okay, so we have our basic formula here. So again, part one is we're going to say son las. Then the second part is the number of the hour. Again, unless it's 1 o'clock, then we use es la, but that's the only exception. Otherwise, all the other hours we use son las, and then the hour. And then if we're going to add on some minutes, we can say y and the number of minutes, or if we're subtracting, like it's something to this hour, it's menos and the number of minutes. So that's the general formula that we're going to follow. So now if we want to add a little bit more detail to that, to specify like, is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it at night? We can use some expressions to add on the end to clarify about when it is. So for example, we have de la mañana means in the morning, okay? So notice that it's, and when we say in the morning, like time, it's de la mañana. Now, if you just want to say like something happens in the morning in general, it's por la mañana. So, I mean, these aren't exactly finite rules, and there are some people who will use both of them for different cases, but generally speaking, that's how you can kind of just differentiate between telling a specific time and just saying in this general period of the day. So again, if I'm saying like son las 9 de la mañana, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'm just saying like in the morning, I drink coffee. Then I'm going to say por la mañana, yo bebo café. Okay, so that's the kind of difference. De la mañana with specific times, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, but we use por la mañana if we're talking about in the morning time as a general time of period of the day. And that's consistent with all of them. So de la mañana and por la mañana, de la tarde, por la tarde, de la noche, and por la noche. So a question I got earlier, which I think is a great point to raise here, is about how do we know when we're crossing over in these time periods? Like when does tarde become noche? That's the kind of the most common question that I've gotten. And so the answer to that is there's not really a solid answer. It depends a lot. It's a kind of cultural question, right? It depends a lot on where you are about what they consider to be morning times or night times. So, or sorry, afternoon times or night times. So for example, like if I'm here in the United States, I maybe would say like once I get to up to las 6, then that's de la noche. But if I'm in Spain, they don't really consider that nighttime yet. So I would still say de la tarde, and maybe I wouldn't change it until it's 8 o'clock. Then in Spain, that becomes la noche. But again, depending on the culture of where you are, there can be some different room for interpretation about when is tarde, when is noche, when is mañana, maybe even. So there's not really a hard and fast rule about that. It's really more a matter of the cultural context and also just whatever you're trying to express. So that's just a little side note about that. Now, next, if we go down the page, talk about some useful little expressions to add on to our telling time. So we have expressions like en punto, which means like kind of on the dot, like exactly at that hour. Okay, en punto. So for example, son las 10 en punto. It's 10 o'clock on the dot, or exactly. Okay, now we already talked about this one. It was y when we're adding on minutes. Okay, so usually this is anywhere up to like the kind of 30-minute mark of the hour that we are add on minutes. And then if it's past the 30-minute mark, that's where we can maybe go ahead to the next hour and then subtract minutes. Like we said, it's 10:02 or 1:45 or 22, if we want to express it in that way, then when you're going to use menos. Okay, now a couple of other useful words here is to say like it's half past, or, there's something of 30-minute intervals. So this one would be media. So for example, if I want to say like it's 3:30, like it's 3:30, son las 3:30. Okay, son las 3:30. Now I can also say son las 3:30. It's 3:30 literally, but son las 3:30, that works perfectly well as well to express the same amount of time. And our one last one here is the word cuarto. So this is a quarter, so 15-minute interval. So for example, if I want to say it's 3:15, son las 3:15. Or if I want to say like it's 3:45 or it's 15 minutes to 4, it's 3:45, son las 4 menos cuarto. So again, I can use it with y or menos, either way. Okay, so we can use, so I think basically our go-to words here, we have our new words are the word media for a half or 30-minute interval, and cuarto for a quarter. Okay, so now let's take a look at some examples and then we're going to start practicing. So we have some examples on the bottom of this page below. So we have, for example, es la 1 de la tarde en punto. Es la 1 de la tarde en punto. So it's 1 p.m. on the dot. Okay. Es la 1:15 de la mañana. It's 1:15 in the morning. Son las 6:30 de la mañana. It's 6:30 in the morning. 6:30. Son las 6 menos cuarto de la tarde. It's 5:45 in the afternoon, or it's 5:45. Son las 7:30 de la tarde. It's 7:30 at night. Okay. Again, depending on where you are, maybe you use de la tarde, or maybe you say de la noche. In this case, we have de la tarde because it may be in this person's mind, 7:30 is still in the tarde range. Okay, the afternoon range. Son las 8:15 de la noche. It's 8:15, 8:15 at night. And next time we have son las 12:20 de la noche. It's 12:20 at night. So it's 12:20 in the morning. Again, depending on how you want to think about it. So one last note I want to say before we go on to the practice is about the fact that most countries outside of the United States, again, not all, but most countries outside use the 24-hour clock. So what that means is that for most countries, the words like de la mañana or de la tarde or de la noche aren't really necessary, because if you're using a 24-hour clock, then that hour can only go with one time of the day. So we don't need these words to kind of clarify if we're talking about in the morning or the afternoon. Like, so for example, if I want to say like son las 6:30, that only refers to 6:30 in the morning. If I want to say son las 18:30, it's 18:30, then I already know that must be the afternoon or / evening time. So when we use the 24-hour clock, sometimes it makes these words that clarify what part of the day kind of, not useful, to be honest, because we don't, or unnecessary, because by using the 24-hour clock, we know which time it must be. It's only when we use the 12-hour clock that potentially we could have some confusion about if we're talking about in the morning or the night for the time, in the morning and the afternoon. So just as we go on to practice, and also just as you go into the Spanish speaking world, keep that in mind that most places are using the 24-hour clock. Okay, so let's get to practicing. So we're going to take a look actually at this exercise here and practice to say them together. So all right, and I'm going to try to write these out if we see if we have space. I'll at least write out the first few and then we'll see how it goes. So the first one we have here, and please feel free to write in the comments as you're working along with me to see if you can tell the times. So for the first one, I can help you get jump started. So this one we can see is 1 o'clock, and again, you can see from this exercise we are going to be using the 24-hour clock. So we know that because of that this one must be the one that's in the morning. So as you know, for 1 o'clock times, we're going to start with es la una, right? Es la una y cinco. Es la una y cinco. So it's 1 o'clock and 5 minutes. Now, if I wanted to clarify, I can say de la mañana. But again, with the 24-hour clock, I don't have to, because we already know that this time only refers to one time during the day. Okay, so es la una y cinco. Now let's try the next one. We'll go down the columns to practice. Okay. So, and again, remembering that we can, if you want to, you can specify de la mañana, de la tarde, de la noche. And again, depending on who you are, where you are, you may be able to choose about exactly which word you want to describe those times. Okay, so next one we have, so again, because we're working with the 24-hour clock here in this exercise, we know this must be the one that's in the morning, you know, before when most people are sleeping. So this is a plural, so we are going to start with son las, okay? So we have son las 3:25, okay? Son las 3:25 de la mañana, if we want to add de la mañana, or if you consider like 3:25 is kind of still in the middle of the night for you, you can say de la noche. Again, this is kind of open to interpretation. Okay, next one, we have, with this one again, 24-hour clock. So this one, we're going to say son las 15:35. This one's a little long. So it's 15:35 or 3:35 in the afternoon. So las 15:35 de la tarde. Okay, de la tarde. So, all right, let's try the next one. Next one we have, so this one is another morning time, again, because 24-hour clock. So we're going to say son las 11:16. Okay, son las 11:16. And again, if we want to, we can add de la mañana. Okay, son las 11:16. All right, next one, we'll go down, and then now we're into nighttime because we've got the hours in the 20s. So son las 21:10 de la noche. Or we can say son las 9:10 de la noche. Again, if we want to, you go back to the 12-hour clock. But son las 21:10 de la noche. All right, next one. Okay, this one. So again, remembering that we are using the 24-hour clock here. This one is the one that's in the middle of the day. So this would be the 12:30 like p.m. Okay, so son las 12:30. Okay, son las 12:30. And again, if we want to specify de la tarde, we can add that. Now, I would say in general, if it's just noon on the dot, you can use the word for noon in Spanish, which is el mediodía. But if we're adding minutes after that, and just like in English, we don't say it's noon 10 or noon 20. We can only use noon for that hour specifically. So if it's after that, we should use 12, okay, instead of mediodía. All right, next group. We have this one. So this is, again, 12-hour clock. So this is the one in the middle of the night when we're sleeping, or again, in the morning. How do you want to think about it? Because 2:16 a.m. is technically morning, but it's still in the middle of the night, how we might think about it. So son las 2:00 and then we have 16 again, 16. Son las 2:16. Okay. Now the next one, maybe it's a little confusing potentially, because we have this hour 0, okay? So we think about this again in terms of the 24-hour clock. This is midnight, so it's 10 minutes after midnight. But again, just like we talked about with noon, we don't say it's midnight 10, so we have to say like it's 12:10 or son las 0, actually, to be precise, if we're using 24-hour clock. Son las 0:10. Son las 0:10 de la noche. Or again, de la mañana, depending on how you want to define if it's, and technically it is an AM time, but it's also in the middle of the night. So again, this is up to your interpretation. Okay, next one. Son las, so we have two ways to say this one if we want. Son las 10:45 But this one is a time where we can practice using the menos, actually. So if you want to try to think about that one, how do we say it if we want to say like it's 11:15? How do we say that? Son las 11, and now we're going backwards in time. So we're going to use menos, and then our vocab word for a quarter is cuarto. Son las 11 menos cuarto de la mañana. Son las 11 menos cuarto. So we have kind of two different ways to approach this one. Okay, next one. We're back into the nighttime. So son las 22. Okay, 22 y 19. Kind of a long. Son las 22 y 19 de la noche, o son las 10 y 19 de la noche. Again, if we're going to use the 12-hour clock instead. Okay. And next one. Hopefully we can breeze through these. Son las 8 y 14 de la mañana. Son las 8 y 14 de la mañana. Okay, now this one is interesting. So this one we have, again, two ways to say it. We can actually say it's 11:59, or we could say it's 1 minute to 12. Okay, so let's take the other way just to give us a little bit more of a challenge. So how do you think you might say like it's noon minus 1 minute? How would you think you could say that? So we're going to say es el mediodía. And when we say noon, noon is like 1 o'clock. It's like a kind of specific time. So that's why we're using es el mediodía. Mediodía. I'm going to write the accent on there in one moment. Es el mediodía. So that's why we say it's noon. So for mediodía, it's again es el. And for midnight, it's es la medianoche. Okay. So mediodía menos 1. Okay, so it's noon minus 1 minute. Es el mediodía menos 1. Okay, de la tarde, we could say maybe, or even still, because it's just 1 minute shy of noon, it's de la mañana. Again, open to your interpretation. Okay, last one, we have the last group. So it's these ones I'm actually not gonna talk you through them. I'm just gonna wait a few seconds, see if you can answer them yourselves, and then I'll write out the answers too. So just think about each one and see if you can do it. Okay, so first one we have son las 17:15. So de la tarde, most likely de la tarde. Okay, so it's 5:15 in the afternoon. Or again, depending on who you are, maybe that's nighttime for you, 5, but most people would say de la tarde. Son las 17:15 de la tarde. All right, next one, see if you can answer yourself. Okay, so I'll write it out. Hopefully you got it for yourself. Son las 5:15 de la mañana, right? Because we're again working with 24-hour clock. So this would be the morning time. All right, next one. We've got 4 to go. Son las 8:07 de la mañana. It's 8:07 in the morning. Okay, next one. Again, with this one we have two options again, so I'm going to go for the more challenging option. So I can say son las 9:50, but instead I'm going to say, again, it's 10 to 10, 10 minutes to 10. Son las 10 menos 10. Son las 10 menos 10. It's 10 to 10. It's 10 o'clock minus 10 minutes. All right, 2 to go. This one's nice and easy. Now, if we can remember that piece of vocab to say on the dot. Son las 19 en punto, on the dot. And then we can say de la tarde, depending on your perspective, or de la noche. All right, last one, and then we're going to wrap up this lesson, and we've definitely earned our long weekend rest. Son las 20 y 5. Son las 20 y 5 de la noche, or again, to use the 12 o'clock. Son las 8 y 5 de la noche. Okay, so we have our options again, depending on what type of clock, but keeping in mind that most of the Spanish-speaking countries use a 24-hour clock. So really adding things like de la mañana, de la tarde, de la noche are kind of an extra thing that we can add, but they're not necessarily necessary. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Again, I know it's a lot of practice there, a lot of things to put together. So please feel free to watch this video again if you need to review and kind of go over things a little bit slower at your own pace. And then also I will be posting another exercise up on the website. So if you want to get a little bit extra practice by yourself, you're welcome to check that out. Welcome to share it with everyone. As I said, I'll be back for the next Community Spanish on Monday at 12. But otherwise, we will also be having the kids programming coming up. I'm making the last video for today on Friday, but coming up next week, we'll have more programming with the kids classes every day, children's Spanish at 11 and children's French at 10:30. So with that, gracias y adiós.